So then, despite all my recent efforts to try and put Yoko Ono down, I thought I'd come on today and talk about an album where I actually enjoy her music.
Again, it'll be just like starting over.
So hello and yes, welcome back to another album review, guys. Now then, before we get started on this review, I want to do a bit of explaining because I wasn't planning on reviewing this album. But I kind of felt I had to in a way, and I really wanted to after my last album review. My last album review was on Paul McCartney's Ram, and for those of you who watched it, you probably saw the bit where I had a bit of a dig at Yoko. And while I still stand by what I think of her, I'm not changing my opinion, obviously, because, you know, you can't just change an opinion like that. I felt like I kind of stepped back and, thought, well, I have been very negative towards Yoko, and I really don't dislike her as much as some people probably think I do. I'm not a big fan on her music. That has not changed. If you guys look back to my review of Sometime New York City, because I still really don't like that album. But Yoko herself, I feel like she can actually sometimes have great impact into John's stuff. She can really help his writing, and also she wrote some very good songs, as we'll discover on this album. And I think that she actually worked very well with John, letting him get his emotions out on them early albums. And, I really respect Yoko as a woman in general, because she was all for, women and stuff, having more power and whatnot. More rights and stuff. And, she was a great mother and whatnot. She was a fantastic wife to John. So I thought, you know what? I took a step back, looked at myself a bit after the last video and thought, I want to come on and I want to speak a bit more positively about Yoko. And I know that there's some big Yoko fans out there, and a couple of which had left comments on my last video saying, hey, I think it was a bit wrong what you did. And, maybe punching a Yoko album was a little bit too far in my last video. But, I thought I'd come on and, I don't think that much more of Yoko at the minute. I mean, in my eyes, she's not a great singer. And she never will be in my eyes, dare I say it. But I thought I'd come on and talk about an album where I can actually sit back and enjoy her music. This is the album. Well, there's a couple tracks on Milk and Honey as well, just sit here. I don't mind a few of her songs off that album. But this album especially, this is the one exception where I can actually listen to some Yoko stuff and enjoy it. So I thought I'd come on and talk about this album today. It also has a lot of my favourite John songs on. So this is going to be a really fun album. It's a really good album for John and Yoko. As I say, it's very hard to find good Yoko stuff for me. But this album is where the good Yoko stuff is, I find. If there is I really don't know anything about Yoko's solo career, but if there is a greatest hits package out there of Yoko, greatest hits, more popular Yoko songs, let's say, the best of, I expect that most of the songs off this album that she done are on that, because these are really solid songs from Yoko, actually. Not all of them, there's a couple weak ones on here, but there's also a couple strong ones, so anyway, we'll discover that as we get to it. But anyway, just wanted to say that before we get started with the review, my reasons for reviewing this album. As I say, basically, I just want to come on here and be a bit more positive towards Yoko. Not every Yoko song on here is good in my opinion. But there are actually some good ones on here, so we will get to them. But anyway, let's get started with the review. I've rambled enough now. We've got to get started. Of course, Double Fantasy. Here it is. We all know this album. Of course, it hit #1 in the UK and US, and in 6 other countries alongside them too. So you can find this in every pound, every dollar bin. It's a very popular album, very unique, a very strong album. Opened up the new decade, the 80s, incredibly well. It was released on the 17th of November 1980. It was John's 7th album, going from his proper catalogue, from Plastic Ono Band all the way through, not including, the Life with Lions, Two Virgins, or the Wedding album. It was the second album where he heavily features Yoko, and I really don't like the first one, Sometime in New York City. However, the second one, Double Fantasy, and the third one, Milk and Honey, I actually do like them two quite a lot. So it's like, I just don't like Sometime in New York City, really. But then it's the first album after John's retirement on here. And, John had been out in the music industry, been out of the public's eye for quite a while, about 4 years, as he's taken a lot of time off to, you know, bring Sean up, which I really respect. I really do. You know, you see a lot of musicians who don't see their kids much because they're always out touring and making albums. I really respect the fact that John said, okay, public, okay, people, you can wait. I want to take time and raise my kid. Fantastic. I really admire John for doing that. And this album here actually got Album of the Year in 1981. My opinion on that, though, do I think it deserved it? Yes, I think it deserved it. Are there albums that probably deserved it more? Yes, there probably are albums that deserved it more. Do I think that the fact that John's death had an impact on this album getting that award? Yeah, I think it did. However, I am pleased this album won the award. I do think there are albums from 1980 which probably deserved it a little bit more. But, you know, it's still a very solid album, a very unique album, this one. I think it deserved it. So anyway, before we go any further in a review, I forgot to say my usual at the beginning of the video. Of course, we've already done information on the album. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go over each track individually. I'm going to mark each track out of 10. Then when that's done, I'm going to show you my copy of the vinyl record. We're going to mark the artwork out of 10 as well. We're going to add up all the scores I've given it and divide it by the total number of scores given, which will give us a solid overall number for the album. And then when the album has got its overall marking out of 10, we're going to head over to my album ranking board. We're going to put it on the album ranking board and see how well it does compared to our other albums I've reviewed on this channel. So anyway, we've already done the information there. So now what we'll do is we'll get started on the albums. The album actually is full. It has 14 tracks, which was, I think, is a very good number. You know, it feels like we're not getting too less, but we're not getting too much. I think that's a very solid number of tracks. And I feel it's not an incredibly long album. The John songs are actually a lot longer than the Yoko ones. The Yoko ones are actually quite short. Which in some cases is better, but in other ways, there's a couple good ones on here, as I say. And I really love the flow of this album. I feel like Sometime in New York City really didn't flow. It's like, okay, who's singing next? This one here, I love the flow of it. You get a John one, you get a Yoko one, you get a John one and Yoko one. And in ways, they kind of back each other up. Like, I'm Losing You and I'm Moving On. When we get there, we'll see them songs kind of back each other up, which I really like. I think it's a really clever idea. And, you know, it's very unique because I don't think I've ever seen a couple do an album like this before. So I think this is very unique. But anyway, the opening track is Just Like Starting Over, which is a John Lennon track, of course. And this single hit number 1 in the US and the UK. I've got the single just here. You can see it just here. It was one of John's favourite tracks on the album. And it's basically about him coming back to, you know, starting over. I'm coming back into the music business and whatnot. I'm coming back. It really is a great opening track. You know, we haven't heard anything from John in 4 years. We all believed him to be retired, and I don't think anyone knew when he was coming back. So it was great for this album to come back. Great opening track. Really fits the album nicely. I love how it starts off with this acoustic feel at the beginning. And then as the song goes on, it kind of adds more instruments and it builds more tension. And the tension just is fantastic because it's such a fun, upbeat song at times. And the song goes on for the perfect amount of time. It isn't overblown. It isn't too short. It is a perfect song, I think. I really do love this track. It's a great opener. Great vocals from John. Great vocals from John. Can't speak now. Great lyrics. It's a great song. It's a 10 out of 10. I do love this track. And then we get one of the weakest tracks for me from Yoko. Here I am at the start of the video saying I want to be more positive on Yoko. And I promise you, Yoko fans, I am going to be more positive towards her later on in the video. But this is one of the songs on the album from her I'm not a fan of. And that is a song called Kiss Kiss Kiss, which I believe is actually the B-side. I could be wrong. No, it is the B-side to the Just Like Starting Over single. Pop that back. So it's the first Yoko track, and it's a very different feel to Starting Over, and yeah, it feels very strange coming off of Starting Over, but I like that in a way, because it's like you don't want the album to sound the same from start to finish. You want it to have some consistency to it, so I really like that. I like the vocals through the first verse and whatnot. I think her vocals are good, but as soon as they hit the chorus and she does the high notes, I'm not a fan on that. And I really don't like the backing vocals that she's doing, these little sounds in the background. It's not like she's screaming down the mic like she's been known to do. She's making these more kind of sounds. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of that myself. I mean, it kind of backs up the idea of the song a bit, you know, lyrically. You know, I was reading online, of course, in preparation to reviewing this album, that basically that is Yoko kind of just doing these orgasmic sounds, basically. Orgasm sounds. And, yeah, I guess that kind of goes along with the lyrics a bit and whatnot, but, you know, it's still a matter of enjoyment. How much do I enjoy it? My opinion on this song is I don't really enjoy that sound much. And, so I think Yoko on this song, you know, the sounds I'm not a fan of. The high pitch at the start of the chorus I'm not a big fan of. However, her singing in the verses, sorry, are actually okay. So I don't want to be too harsh on this song, but I don't enjoy it. That is a fact. I'm not a fan of it. So I'm going to give this track a 4 out of 10. Then we move on to another John track, which is called Clean Up Time. And this one's actually really interesting, and I really got into reading about this song online, actually. It was written after he had a phone call with Jack Douglas, who is, of course, producer on this album. They're both basically talking about, you know, they're just kind of catching up kind of thing. Because it was before Jack Douglas had actually signed on to produce the album. They're just catching up a bit. And they were talking about, you know, how they've been and whatnot. And I think John was basically saying to him, you know, it's so good that I'm kind of cleaned up now after my, you know, alcohol addiction in the early 70s, and of course the drugs which were involved as well. So the song is really about John getting cleaned up and whatnot, and I actually really like that. I think it's great that John's kind of saying to his fans, hey, look, you know I went through this bad time, but you know I'm cleaning up. And I think it's great that a musician actually acknowledges his faults and that he's changing, and he's actually putting this into his songs, because it's one of the great things about Lennon. He's always had this great way of putting emotions into songs and telling us how he is, how he's feeling. In the first 2 Lennon albums, you can really hear this dark, gritty period of time for Lennon. And on this song, you can really hear that he's through that. He's made it. He's survived. So it's really great. The song opens with this great guitar riff. I love the build-up that it has when it goes, now it begins. It goes, let it begin, and it, you know, you can hear it's building up for something, and it just basically lets it all out as he sings the line "Clean Up Time." Really fun, love it. It really is a great song from John. 8 out of 10. Really like this song. And then we get a track called "Give Me Strength," which again isn't one of my favourite Yoko ones on here. It's another one of them. It's a very average song for me, this one. It's about how Yoko kind of felt about society. And yeah, it's a very short song, really. It's pretty kind of on the album. It's there and then it's gone. I'm not a fan of how the song starts, but it gets better. It does get better. The lyrics on this song, there really isn't much lyrics to it. I like the guitar riff going throughout it. I love how she actually, you know, I'm not a big fan on the noises Yoko makes, but when it's relevant, it's like, yeah, okay. When she actually expresses the word cold, it's actually quite unique in how she does that. So I'll give her credit there. That was pretty good, pretty unique. And I really like the end of the song where it tones down and she does this nice bit. She actually sings pretty well on the end bit, which lasts like 10 seconds. It's like, why didn't you do more of that throughout the song? It's like you've just done this whole piece, which sounds very similar and gets a little bit annoying at times. And you do this cool little bit on the end. I think they could have done... I think this song was a bit of a missed opportunity for Yoko. But saying that, it's not really bad. It's very average, if you ask me. So I'm going to give this track a solid 5 out of 10. Then we get a track called I'm Losing You by Mr. Lennon again. And it's about a failed phone call attempt to Yoko when he was on holiday. So, you know, he rung up and she didn't answer. And... I don't know, I guess he kind of panicked a bit, so he's like, I've got to write a song. But anyway, it's really great how he does this song, actually. It's a very dark song for Lennon. Most of the songs on here, while lyrically they might not all be fun and upbeat, well, most of them are, actually. I shouldn't say that. But it's the darkest song for Lennon, I feel, this one. And, you know, Lennon is known for doing quite a few dark songs. The vocals are just brilliant, this one. Brilliant vocals. I really like how the lyrics are in the songs, I say. Great guitar work for it. I really do like this song. It's going to be a 9 out of 10 for me on this one. Then we get a track called I'm Moving On, which is a Yoko song. And this is one of them Yoko songs that I actually don't mind. This is actually a decent one. It's linked to I'm Losing You. It kind of flows into it. And, you know, John, I'm losing you. And this is Yoko basically saying I'm moving on kind of thing. Obviously, they weren't like that in their relationship. You know, they were still very close at this time. But it's a really fun song, actually. It has a great guitar riff going throughout it. The doubling on Yoko's vocals, because, you know, honestly, you know, everyone knows I'm not a fan of Yoko singing, but the doubling on the vocals actually makes her sound better than normal. So the vocals actually aren't awful here. They're pretty good, actually, I'd say. Decent vocals from her. And it makes her sound worlds better. I wish that they do this on more Yoko songs, to be honest, because, you know, it's more tolerable for someone like me. You know, I can actually listen to this and have a good time. Yeah, has a good guitar solo in it as well. I actually do quite like this song a lot. I am going to give this track a 7 out of 10. See, I can be kind to Yoko when I want to be. Anyway, the next track up is, of course, Beautiful Boy, Darling Boy, which is, of course, Paul McCartney's favourite John Lennon song. So you know we're in for a good time there. So it's about his son, Sean, and, yeah, the lyrics, you know, he's just singing all these cool things about his son and whatnot. It's more like kind of a lullaby kind of lyrically song. It's really fun. I love I'm not sure what the drums are called, but you kind of have these Jamaican kind of drums that you'd hear on like reggae songs and whatnot. Obviously this isn't a Jamaican feeling reggae song really, I wouldn't say. Well, might be, but I wouldn't say so. But I love that feel. It gives the song more characteristic, I think. Has some really great moments in it. I love the vocals from John on this. This is an incredible song. Really is, again, a perfect song. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. So we got 2 10 out of 10 tracks on here so far. And here we are. We're about to get another 10 out of 10 track with Watching the Wheels. There we go. I've already spoilt the score for that one. But anyway, we move straight on to another John song opening up side 1. Opening the Wheels has always had a very soft spot for me because it's my dad's favourite John Lennon song. My dad would always play the same songs a lot when I was getting into music. It would always be Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, Hey Jude by the Beatles, or In My Life, Hear Two Rifles from the Jam, London Calling from the Clash. Elvis Costello used to play a lot, actually. I'm not a big Elvis fan, but he used to play Elvis, and he always used to play Hound Dog, which I really like. He used to play Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. But he'd always play Imagine and Watching the Wheels from John. So them two John songs, I mean, obviously they're world-loved songs, them two, to start with. Especially Imagine. But Watching the Wheels I've always had a very soft spot for, because me and my dad used to listen to that one a lot together. So I have lots of sentimental feelings towards this song. But, you know, it's a great song lyrically about, how people felt about him when he was, on his retirement break. It's like, well, I was just sitting there watching the wheels go round and round. So it's, lyrically just a really fun song. The vocals are just superb, brilliant, really friendly song, I'd say. The chorus is fantastic. I can't say much on this song that hasn't already been said. It's a 10 out of 10 track. I love it. And then we get my favourite Yoko song. As I say, I have a hard time being so kind to... You guys know how it is. You all have artists out there who you don't like. And then when you actually hear a song by them that you like, it's kind of hard to be kind to them. That's kind of how I feel with this one. I'm not a Yoko fan. It's been very clear throughout my videos I'm not a Yoko fan. But this song I really like. I do. I actually really like it. It's called Yes, I'm Your Angel. I remember this song from the opening scene to a film called This Is 40. And I actually remember tapping my toe to it. And I went and looked up the soundtrack and I was gobsmacked. I was like, oh my god, it's Yoko. It's like, I never realised that. And her vocals on this are great. They're great. I mean, why is she so good on this song? But yeah, everything else I've heard of her, she doesn't really do that vocal approach. It's like really, really good vocals there. I love the catchiness to the song. It's got such a kind of child-friendly, fun beat to it. I love the whistling in the background. It sounds like something out of a Disney animated film. It's actually quite a fun song. I'm going to give this track an 8 out of 10. I do like this song. It's easily my favourite Yoko song. I like this one. This one's good. And then we get on to what is one of the best songs of all time. Woman by Mr. John Lennon. It's basically a love song for Yoko and other women out there and whatnot. And it's just an incredible song. Just a phenomenal track. I love it. It's got this great catchiness to it. The vocals are brilliant. The lyrics are brilliant. The tune's brilliant. It's not too long. It's not too short. It's a perfect amount of time. All the instruments in it make perfect sense being where they are. This is a perfect song. I love this track. 10 out of 10. Love it. Easily, probably my favourite Lennon song. Probably my favourite Lennon song. Then we get a track called Beautiful Boys, which, you know, got to try not to get that confused with Beautiful Boy, Darling Boy, John's song, you know. I mean, if you get rid of the Darling Boy, which is in brackets, it's Beautiful Boy, and here we got Beautiful Boys. So got an S on the end. A Yoko song, very strange, different vocals from Yoko, which I think are better than her normal singing voice, you know, which I've heard on a lot of albums. But still not great. Yeah, it's really a bit of a boring song for me. It just doesn't do much. It's okay. I don't dislike it. I don't like it. This song here is... I'm just going to give that one a 5, really. It's okay. Then we get a track called Dear Yoko by John, and it's kind of like... Oh, Yoko from, you know, Imagine. It's like... Just one of the films where he's singing about how much he loves Yoko. And it's good, but it kind of loses its touch very quick, I feel, this song. Has a very fun beat to it. It's very catchy, fun song, but really doesn't go anywhere for me. I like it, you know, it's John singing, so I like the vocals. I like listening to John. But, you know, it's not great. I'm going to give this one a 7. I mean, I like it, but it's not to that really good level like we've got on other places on this album from John. And then we get probably... No, it is my least favourite track on the album. Every Man Has a Woman Who Loves Him. And the reason I don't like it is, if you guys remember from my review of Sometime in New York City, one of the tracks I hated on there the most was the one where John and Yoko sing together. Yoko, very rarely, for me, can pull off good vocals. Very rarely. She can do it. Look at the track I'm Your Angel or I'm Moving On. Good Yoko songs. I like them. John, of course, has great vocals, you know, like 99% of the time. He's normally very good. But together, they just don't sound good for me. I don't like listening to them sing together. I'd rather hear maybe John do a verse and Yoko come in do a verse, but when they're together, doesn't work very well for me. So I'm not a fan of this track. The song really doesn't go anywhere or do anything either. I'm going to give this track a 3 out of 10. I'm just not a fan on this one. And then we get a track called Hard Times Are Over. And Hard Times Are Over is... yeah, I mean, this is... I mean, Hard Times Are Over. It's a good closer. Good closer. Yoko's vocals are okay on this one. They're not the best. Again, just a pretty average track. I'm going to give that song a 5 out of 10. Pretty average track, I'd say. But anyways, there we go. There's my opinion. So, overall opinions on this album. John's songs are great. The only one which I'm not a big fan on is Dear Yoko. Yoko's songs, now, as you guys know, I'm not normally a fan on Yoko, but I will admit, I'm Your Angel and I'm Moving On are actually good songs. The rest of Yoko's songs on here are pretty average, I'd say. Couple, not so great. But yeah, this is a very good album. Brilliant album, in fact, for John. And I think as good as you can get for Yoko, in my opinion. But anyway, here we go. This is it. Double Fantasy. Here's the album itself. Not a gatefold. The cover, you know, John and Yoko. Not the best picture, I guess they could have used. But hey, you know, we see there it's a couple's album. It makes sense. The back cover there, really good. I never thought that really looked like John too much. Obviously, it is him. It's just a very peculiar photo of him, I found this one. But anyway, here is the inner sleeve, so we get all the lyrics. So it's nice they chucked in an inner sleeve. Here is the record label. This copy actually belonged to my nan and granddad, which they bought the day he died. So some sentimental feelings towards that. And then, of course, I've got my nice copy there from the box set. And I actually have a bit of a beat-up copy in my cupboard, which is the one I brought out in the last video. But anyway, artwork, yeah, I'll give it a 7. It's pretty good artwork. So anyway, now what I've done is I've added up all of them scores, and it's given me a total marking out of 10. And Double Fantasy out of 10, for me, is going to get a 7.2. So 7.2 for Double Fantasy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the album ranking board, put it on there and see where it ranks. So anyway, here we are, of course, back over with the album ranking board. Now then, I know you guys can't see any of this because the camera can't pick it up because they're all too small. But anyway, here is my slip for John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy there with a 7.2. So then 7.2, it's going to go... Ooh, whereabouts should I put it? I'm running out of room because it's getting all a bit crowded here. I'm going to put it just there. Okay, so then it managed to beat out Lindsey Buckingham's Go Insane by a 0.1. That's on a 7.1. So let's have a look at the albums that beat it. We've got Peter Gabriel's first album on a 7.4. We got Mudcrutch 2 on a 7.5. Eric Clapton's latest album, I Still Do, which is a huge recommendation to people, on an 8.3. Mudcrutch's first album on an 8.5. Paul McCartney's Ram Up There on an 8.8. Eric Clapton's Back Home on a 9.2, and I know some people aren't big on that one, but I love that album. Derek and the Dominoes, Later and Other Assorted Love Songs on a 9.4. And it has managed to beat out Lindsey Buckingham's Go Insane by a 0.1. Paul McCartney's McCartney there on a 7.0, managed to beat that out by a 0.2. Phil Collins, Hello I Must Be Going on a 6.6. George Harrison's 33 and a Third on a 6.3. Phil Collins' Face Value on a 5.7. The Electric Light Orchestra's debut album on a 5.5. The Who Face Dances on a 4.7. And all the way just down here is Sometime in New York City on a 3.6. So, yeah, quite a big improvement. So you can tell I like this album a bit more. So there we go, a huge improvement over Sometime in New York City for me. As I say, I'm pleased to come on here and actually talk about Yoko in a bit more of a positive way. And I hope that the Yoko fans out there can see that, you know, I'm not a fan, obviously, of her music, but I still respect her. And I don't immediately go and put everything she's done down, because I do feel there is some good stuff there still. Even, you know, there's loads of artists out there I don't like. You know, my nan is a massive Cliff Richard fan, for example, and I always love to put him down around her. However, Cliff Richard, you know, he has, what, 50 albums or something, and I can tell you now I won't like most of them. But even he has a couple songs I don't mind. So, you know, and I really respect him still as a musician, like I respect Yoko. Yoko is still a very important figure in John's life, in the Beatles community. She's a very important figure there. So I wanted to come on today and basically say, hey, look, I'm not gonna, I don't want to just sound, I don't want to be the person in the VC who just bashes Yoko completely. So anyway, this is a good album for Yoko. It's a fantastic album for John. It's a great album. It done very well over there on my album ranking board. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys saw a bit of a different light as to my opinion on Yoko than previous videos. But anyway, that's it for now. I probably won't do another solo Beatle review for a while now. Simply because I've done 2 in a row now, and I've got a few other artists who I want to talk about. But I do also want to throw a big shout out to all you guys, all my fantastic subscribers, followers, commenters, everyone who has taken the time to subscribe to my channel, because I just have hit 1,500 subscribers, and that is a massive milestone for me. I love it. I love all you guys. It's fantastic. So I am going to be, I didn't want to do a contest because I've just done a contest. But there'll be a contest for 2,000 if we get there. But I am going to set up a Q&A for you guys. So be sure to head over and let me know. Give me some comments. And of course, I'll reply to you guys. I'll make this Q&A really special. Give everyone big shout outs and whatnot. Because you guys are the best and you all deserve the best. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for watching the video as well. Please hit the subscribe button, like the video and leave a message. And I'll look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys later.
Hot dog!